I never believed rich people knocked on the doors of men like me. Not unless they wanted something dirty done. My name is Samira Boss, and at 29 years old, I had already failed at everything respectable. I'd failed at university, failed at holding down honest jobs, and failed at staying invisible, the one skill men like me needed most. Karachi had a way of grinding men into dust, and I was already halfway there. I lived in a narrow apartment above a shuttered electronics shop in Saddar. The ceiling fan rattled like it was coughing its last breath, and the paint peeled off the walls in strips like shedding skin. It was the kind of place nobody visited. Except that night, someone did. 3 knocks. Calm. Precise. Not the desperate pounding of a debt collector or the lazy knock of a drunk neighbor. This was deliberate. I froze on my mattress. Another 3 knocks. I stood slowly, my heart beginning to thump. Nobody respectable knew where I lived. Nobody rich would ever come here. I opened the door halfway. A man stood there in a perfectly tailored black suit. He looked like he belonged in air-conditioned boardrooms, not in a corridor that smelled of mold and sweat. Behind him, parked in the alley, was a long black car. He looked at me like I was an object he had already purchased. "Samira Boss," he asked. My throat felt dry. "Yes." He stepped aside slightly. "She would like to see you." "Who?" He didn't answer. He simply gestured toward the car. I should have said no. Men like me survive by saying no. But curiosity is a disease. And that night, it infected me. The inside of the car smelled like leather and expensive perfume. The air conditioning was cold enough to make my skin prickle. The suited man sat in front, silent. He never turned around, never spoke. We drove through Karachi's glittering arteries, past neon lights and glass towers that reflected a world I wasn't part of. After 20 minutes, the car slowed in front of a mansion. Not a house. A mansion. High white walls. Iron gates. Security cameras watching like unblinking eyes. The gates opened without a sound. We entered. My stomach tightened. People like me don't enter places like this unless they're cleaning toilets or stealing something. The car stopped at the entrance. The suited man stepped out and opened my door. "She's waiting." I followed him inside. Marble floors. Crystal chandeliers. Paintings worth more than my entire existence. And at the center of the vast living room, sitting in a wheelchair beside a grand piano, was a woman. She looked to be in her early 40s. Beautiful in a cold, precise way. Her hair was black and perfectly straight, framing a face that showed no warmth. Her eyes examined me the way surgeons examine patients. Calculating. Measuring. Judging. The suited man left. We were alone. She spoke first. "You're smaller than I expected." Her voice was calm. Educated. Dangerous. I didn't know I was expected, I replied carefully. She smiled slightly. "I know everything about you, Samira Boss." A chill moved through me. She gestured to the chair opposite her. "Sit." I sat. She picked up a thin file from her lap. "You worked at Horizon Call Center." "Fired for fighting." I said nothing. "You worked at a courier service." "Fired for stealing." I swallowed. "I didn't steal." She didn't react. "You were arrested 2 years ago." My heart skipped. That was different. That was something nobody was supposed to know. She watched my reaction carefully. "Yes," she said softly. "You remember." I did remember. The police station. The humiliation. The terror. They released me eventually. No charges. No explanation. But the shame stayed. She closed the file. "I have a job for you." I laughed nervously. "I'm not exactly qualified for rich people jobs." Her lips curved slightly. This job requires no qualifications. Only obedience. I didn't like the sound of that. What kind of job? She leaned forward slightly. I want you to become someone else. My confusion must have been obvious. What do you mean? She studied my face for a long moment. Then she said it. I want you to live as a girl. The words didn't make sense at first. My brain refused to accept them. I'm sorry, what? Her voice remained calm. You will dress as a girl. Speak as a girl. Live as a girl. My mouth went dry. This is a joke. It is not. I stood up. I'm leaving. Her next words froze me in place. You were arrested on June 14, 2023. Behind the Regal Market. My blood turned cold. How do you? She interrupted gently. The man you hit died 3 days later. My ears rang. No, I whispered. They told me he was fine. She tilted her head. They lied. My legs felt weak. You were never charged. Do you know why? I couldn't speak. She answered her own question. Because I made sure of it. Silence filled the room. My entire world tilted. She controlled my past. Which meant she controlled my future. She watched the realization settle into my bones. I saved you, she said softly. I could barely breathe. What do you want from me? Her smile returned. Loyalty. She pressed a button on the arm of her wheelchair. A maid entered, carrying something folded. Clothes. She placed them on the table. A skirt. A blouse. Stockings. My stomach dropped. This is your uniform, the rich woman said. I stared at the clothes. I won't do this. Her expression didn't change. You will. Her voice hardened slightly. Or I will call the police and tell them everything. My hands trembled. She leaned closer. You belong to me now, Samir. The room felt smaller. The air heavier. I realized something terrifying in that moment. This wasn't a job offer. This was ownership. I looked at her cold, perfect face. Why? I whispered. Her eyes darkened. Because men destroyed my life. Silence. And now, she continued, I will destroy theirs. She gestured to the clothes. Starting with you. I should have run. I should have fought. Instead, I picked up the skirt. Her smile widened slightly. Good, she said. Then she added something that made my blood freeze. You remind me of her. My voice shook. Her. She stared at me with something that almost looked like hatred. My daughter. The room fell silent. And for the first time, I realized. This wasn't about control. This was about revenge. An hour later, I stood in front of a mirror in one of the mansion's bedrooms. I barely recognized myself. The skirt fit perfectly. The blouse hugged my frame. My hair had been styled. Makeup covered my face. The person staring back at me was not Samira Boss. Behind me, the rich woman watched. Perfect, she whispered. But then she said something that turned my stomach to ice. They're already looking for you. My reflection stared back at me in horror. Who? I asked. Her smile was slow. The police. My heart stopped. She leaned closer and whispered. They found a body this morning. Silence. And they think you killed him. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same thing. Handcuffs. Prison bars. A courtroom full of strangers staring at me like I was already dead. The rich woman had left me alone in the bedroom, but the door wasn't locked. That was the worst part. She didn't need locks. She had something stronger. Fear. I stood in front of the mirror again, staring at the stranger wearing my body. The makeup was flawless. The eyeliner sharp. The lips soft and pink. Feminine. Vulnerable. Powerless. I touched my face with trembling fingers. This wasn't me. But it could become me. And that terrified me more than anything. A soft knock came from the door. Before I could respond, it opened. The rich woman entered. She had changed into a silk nightgown, black as oil. Her wheelchair moved silently across the marble floor. She studied me. Not like a person. Like a finished product. "What is her name?" she asked calmly. "Her. Not you. Her." My throat tightened. "I don't understand." She tilted her head slightly. "You cannot remain Samir. Samir is a wanted man." The word struck like a hammer. "Wanted." She continued, her voice smooth. "You need a new identity." I said nothing. She smiled faintly. "I have chosen a name for you." My heart pounded. Sarah. The name hung in the air. Sarah. It sounded soft. Innocent. Everything I wasn't. She rolled closer. "Say it." My lips refused to move. She leaned forward slightly. "Say your name." Her eyes weren't asking. They were commanding. My voice came out weak. "Sarah." She smiled. "Good girl." The words made my stomach twist. Not good. Not girl. But something inside me understood the truth. Samir Abbas was disappearing. And Sarah was replacing him. The next morning, I woke to silence. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I saw the pink nightdress on my body. And remembered everything. I stood slowly. My legs felt strange. Exposed. Vulnerable. A maid entered without knocking. She carried folded clothes. More feminine clothes. She placed them on the bed. "A gift from Madam," she said quietly. She never looked directly at me. Not with judgment. Not with kindness. Just acceptance. Like this was normal. Like men becoming women happened every day. After she left, I stared at the clothes. A white blouse. A navy skirt. Undergarments. I hesitated. Then I heard the rich woman's voice in my head. "They think you killed him." My hands moved automatically. I dressed. Every second felt like betrayal. When I finished, I looked in the mirror again. Sarah stared back. And this time, she looked more real. The rich woman was waiting in the dining hall. A massive table stretched across the room, covered in food. She watched me approach. Her eyes scanned every detail. "Walk," she said. I froze. "What?" She gestured calmly. "Walk toward me." My stomach tightened. I stepped forward. My movements were stiff. Awkward. Wrong. She frowned slightly. "No." She stood, slowly, painfully, from her wheelchair. It was the first time I'd seen her stand. Her legs trembled slightly, but she forced herself forward. She stopped in front of me. "Watch." She walked. Every step was controlled. Elegant. Powerful. Even in weakness, she was dominant. She turned. Again. I tried. Failed. She grabbed my chin suddenly. Her grip was stronger than I expected. "You must survive," she whispered. Her eyes burned into mine. "And survival requires transformation." She released me. Then she said something unexpected. They killed my daughter. The words froze the air. She rolled back into her wheelchair slowly. She was 19. Her voice was calm. Too calm. They called it suicide. Silence. But I know the truth. My heart beat faster. She pointed toward a door. Come. I followed her. She led me down a long hallway. At the end was a locked door. She unlocked it. Inside was a bedroom. Frozen in time. Pink walls. Stuffed animals. Clothes hanging neatly. Perfume bottles untouched. Dust covered everything. This was hers, the rich woman said softly. Her voice had changed. Less cold. More broken. She pointed to a photograph on the wall. My breath stopped. The girl in the photo looked like me. Not identical. But close enough to hurt. Same eyes. Same face shape. Same fragile build. I stepped closer. Her smile was warm. Alive. What was her name? I whispered. The rich woman's lips trembled slightly. Alina. Alina. I stared at her face. She looked happy. Innocent. Unaware of what was coming. She trusted them, the rich woman said. Her voice hardened. They used her. My stomach turned. Who? She didn't answer. Instead, she opened a drawer. Inside were newspapers. She handed one to me. My hands trembled as I read the headline. Business tycoon's son cleared in girl's suicide. There was a photo. A man in a suit. Smiling. Confident. Untouchable. He raped her, the rich woman said quietly. My chest tightened. And when she threatened to expose him. She paused. They killed her. Silence filled the room. My hands shook. They buried the truth, she continued. They erased her. She looked at me. And now. Her eyes burned with cold fury. I will erase them. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't grief. This was war. She rolled closer. You will help me. I stepped back instinctively. I'm not a killer. She smiled faintly. You already are. My blood ran cold. No. She leaned forward. The man who died yesterday. My hands trembled violently. I didn't kill him. She tilted her head. Are you sure? My mind raced. The fight. The fall. The blood. He was alive when I left. Wasn't he? She watched the doubt grow inside me. He was one of them, she whispered. My heart stopped. He helped cover up her death. Silence. And now he is dead. She smiled slightly. You see? My breathing became uneven. You have already begun. I backed away. This was wrong. All of it. But before I could speak, a loud sound echoed through the mansion. A distant voice. Male. Shouting. The rich woman froze. Then she smiled. They're here. My heart stopped. Who? She looked directly into my eyes. The police. My legs nearly gave out. No. She gestured toward the window. I moved slowly. Outside, beyond the gates, flashing red and blue lights illuminated the walls. Police cars. My nightmare had arrived. They found you, I whispered. She shook her head calmly. No. Her smile widened slightly. They found Sarah. My blood froze. I turned toward her. What does that mean? She leaned closer. And whispered. They don't know Samira Boss exists anymore. Then, from downstairs, a loud knock echoed through the mansion. A voice shouted. Police. Open the gate. And the rich woman said something that shattered the last piece of my identity. Go downstairs, she ordered. My voice trembled. Why? Her eyes locked onto mine. Because they're not looking for Samir. She paused. They're looking for you. My legs refused to move. The police were downstairs. Real. Clothes. Not an idea. Not a fear. Not a possibility. Reality. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard it hurt. I can't, I whispered. The rich woman's face hardened. You can. Her tone wasn't cruel. It was certain. Like gravity. Like death. She gestured toward the mirror beside the door. Look. I turned slowly. Sarah stared back at me. Not Samir. Not the man the police were searching for. A girl. Fragile. Harmless. Invisible. No one is looking for him anymore, she said quietly behind me. My throat tightened. What if they recognize me? They won't. Her voice held absolute confidence. They see what they expect to see. She rolled closer. And they expect to see weakness. She handed me a small tray. On it were 2 teacups. My hands trembled as I took it. Go, she said. Every instinct screamed to run. But run where? Samira Boss had nowhere left to go. Sarah did. I walked toward the door. Each step felt like walking toward execution. The staircase stretched endlessly downward. My legs shook beneath the skirt. The tray rattled in my hands. Voices echoed from the entrance hall. Male voices. Authority. Power. The police. I reached the bottom step. 2 uniformed officers stood inside the open doors. Behind them stood a third man in plain clothes. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't relaxed. He was watching everything. Analyzing. Hunting. He looked up. His eyes landed on me. And stayed there. My heart stopped. He walked toward me slowly. Every step he took echoed like a gunshot in my mind. He stopped inches away. He smelled like cigarettes and leather. His eyes scanned my face. My body. My posture. Everything. Who are you? He asked. My mouth went dry. For a second, Samir almost answered. But Samir was dead. Sarah, I said softly. My voice sounded different. Smaller. He stared at me. Longer than necessary. My pulse screamed in my ears. He reached forward suddenly. I flinched. But he only took one of the teacups. His fingers brushed mine. Cold. You work here? He asked. I nodded. Yes. He sipped the tea casually. His eyes never left mine. Since when? My brain scrambled. I'm new. He tilted his head slightly. How new? My heart raced faster. A few days. He stared at me. Searching. Digging. Trying to peel away Sarah's skin to find Samir underneath. Behind him, one of the officers spoke. Sir, we should search the property. The plainclothes officer didn't look away from me. What's your full name? He asked quietly. I froze. The rich woman never told me that part. Think. 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 Sarah Khan, I whispered. The name came from nowhere. Or maybe from survival itself. He repeated it softly. Sarah Khan. He reached into his pocket. Pulled out his phone. Showed me a photo. My blood froze. It was Samir. My face. My old face. Unmasked. Male. Wanted. This man, he said calmly. Have you seen him? Time stopped. This was the moment. The moment where everything ended. If I hesitated, I was dead. If I spoke wrong, I was finished. I forced myself to look at the photo. Forced myself to see Samir as a stranger. Then I shook my head slowly. No. The officer watched me carefully. You're sure? I nodded. Yes. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. Then. He smiled slightly. Not kindly. Knowingly. He leaned closer to me. So close I could feel his breath near my ear. And he whispered. You look like him. My blood turned to ice. I couldn't breathe. He stepped back. Still smiling. Then he turned to his officers. Search the house. My heart nearly stopped. Search the house. They would find everything. The clothes. The proof. The truth. Footsteps echoed as officers began moving upstairs. Toward the bedroom. Toward Samir's grave. I stood frozen. Unable to move. Unable to breathe. The plainclothes officer watched me one last time. Then he spoke calmly. If you remember anything. He handed me a card. Call me. I took it with shaking fingers. Detective. Inspector Farouk Ahmed. He turned and walked toward the door. The officers followed him. And just like that. They were gone. The gates closed behind them. The silence returned. I nearly collapsed. Good. Her voice came from behind me. I turned. The rich woman watched from the shadows. Her expression calm. Proud. You survived. My legs gave out. I fell into a chair. They almost caught me, I whispered. She shook her head. No. She rolled closer. They saw exactly what I wanted them to see. My hand still shook. He knows, I said. She tilted her head. He suspects. Her lips curved slightly. But suspicion is not proof. She took the card from my hand. Looked at it. Then smiled faintly. He will become a problem. She placed the card on the table. And problems must be handled. Her eyes met mine. You did well today, Sarah. The name hit differently now. Less foreign. More real. That scared me. She leaned closer. And now, she said softly. It is time for your first real task. My stomach dropped. What task? She handed me a photograph. My fingers trembled as I took it. A man stared back at me. Older. Rich. Powerful. I recognized him from the newspaper. Bilal Mirza. Business tycoon. Untouchable. Monster. He was there, she whispered. The night my daughter died. My chest tightened. What do you want me to do? Her answer came without hesitation. You will meet him. Ice filled my veins. No. Her eyes hardened. You will. She pointed to the photo. He likes girls. My stomach twisted. Young girls. Innocent girls. Girls like Sarah. She leaned closer. And he will like you. My voice shook. And then what? Her smile returned. Cold. Precise. Final. Then, she whispered. You will destroy him. Before I could respond. Her phone rang. She answered calmly. Listened. Said nothing. Then she hung up. Her expression changed. Something was wrong. She looked at me and said 4 words that shattered everything. He remembers your face. My heart stopped. Who? Her voice dropped to a whisper. The detective. Silence. And then, from outside the gate, a single gunshot echoed through the night. The gunshot didn't just echo outside. It echoed inside my chest. My entire body froze. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The rich woman didn't panic. She didn't even flinch. She simply turned her head slightly toward the window, listening. Calculating. I, on the other hand, could barely breathe. What was that? I whispered. Her voice remained calm. Stay here. She rolled toward the window with controlled precision and pulled the curtain aside just enough to see outside. I stood frozen behind her. Seconds passed. Then she smiled. Relief. They're not here for you, she said. My knees nearly gave out. Then who? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she lowered the curtain and turned back toward me. Someone else made a mistake tonight. Her tone held something dark. Something satisfied. But before I could ask more, a servant hurried into the room, her face pale. Madam, she said nervously, there's news. The rich woman raised an eyebrow. Speak. The servant swallowed. They shot a man outside the main road. Silence. The police are already there. My stomach tightened. The rich woman asked only one question. Is he dead? The servant nodded slowly. Yes. The rich woman closed her eyes for a brief second. Not in grief. In acceptance. Good, she said softly. The servant left. I stared at her in horror. You knew, I said. She didn't deny it. She looked at me calmly. One less monster in this world. My voice shook. You had him killed. She studied me carefully. No, she said. Then she added quietly. I simply stopped protecting him. A chill ran down my spine. This woman didn't just seek revenge. She controlled life and death like moving pieces on a chessboard. And now, I was one of those pieces. Later that night, she called me into her study. It was darker than the rest of the house. The walls were lined with books and photographs. Most of them were of her daughter, Alina. Frozen in happiness. Unaware of her fate. The rich woman held a black box in her lap. Sit, Sarah. I obeyed. She opened the box. Inside were documents. IDs. Cards. Photos. She handed me one. My fingers trembled as I looked at it. It was an identity card. Name, Sarah Khan. Age, 22. Occupation, personal assistant. Photo, me. Not Samir. Sarah. My throat tightened. This is real, she said. Government registered. My hands shook. You erased me. She nodded slightly. Yes. Samir Abbas was gone. Officially. Legally. Permanently. Fear and relief mixed inside me in ways I didn't understand. She handed me another item. A phone. You will use this. I took it slowly. What happens now? Her eyes darkened. Now we begin. She rolled closer. You will meet Bilal Mirza tomorrow night. My stomach dropped again. No, I whispered. Her voice sharpened. Yes. She opened a folder. Inside were photos. Girls. Different girls. Young. Broken. Crying. My hands trembled. He destroyed them, she said quietly. Her voice was no longer calm. It was burning. He destroyed my daughter. She pointed to one photo. Alina. Her smile was gone. Her eyes were empty. Something inside me cracked. This is what he does, she whispered. And you. She looked directly into my eyes. Will be his end. My voice shook. How? She handed me a small object. At first, I didn't understand what it was. Then I did. A recorder. He trusts no men, she explained. But he trusts girls. My stomach twisted. You will make him confess. I stared at the device. And if he doesn't? Her silence answered the question. Fear crawled up my spine. This wasn't just revenge. This was execution. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in front of the mirror again. Sarah stared back. But now, I saw something else. Not just fear. Purpose. Danger. Power. Was I still Samir? Or was Samir already dead? My thoughts were interrupted by a vibration in my hand. The new phone. A message. Unknown number. My heart raced. I opened it. One sentence. I know who you really are. My blood froze. Another message arrived. Samir Abbas. My hands began to shake violently. This number knew. They knew everything. Another message appeared. Meet me tomorrow. Alone. My breathing became uneven. Then the final message came. And it shattered whatever illusion of safety I had left. Or I tell the police where to find you. My vision blurred. Someone was watching me. Someone knew the truth. Someone who could destroy everything. My hands trembled as I stared at the phone. Behind me, in the mirror. I suddenly saw movement. A shadow behind the door. Someone was standing there. Watching me. I turned slowly. The door creaked open. And a familiar voice spoke from the darkness. Hello, Samir. It was the detective. Inspector Farouk Ahmed. And he was holding a gun. The gun was steady in his hand. Not shaking. Not uncertain. Certain. Final. Inspector Farouk Ahmed stepped into the light and closed the door behind him with his foot. Click. The sound echoed like a coffin sealing shut. My lungs refused to work. He looked at me, not Sarah. Me. Samir. I was right, he said quietly. His eyes scanned my face, my clothes, my body. A good disguise. My hands trembled. I don't know what you. Stop, he said calmly. One word. Sharp enough to cut bone. His finger rested near the trigger. Don't insult me. Silence swallowed the room. My mind raced. How long had he known? Since the tea? Since the photo? Since the beginning? He took another step closer. I've been a detective for 18 years, he said. I've seen killers, liars, and ghosts. He tilted his head slightly. But I've never seen a man disappear and a girl appear in his place. My throat tightened. I can explain. I know exactly what this is, he interrupted. His voice dropped lower. She did this to you. He didn't say her name. He didn't need to. The rich woman. My owner. My savior. My prison. He continued. She's using you. My heart pounded violently. He lowered the gun slightly. Not safe. But no longer immediate death. You think she saved you, he said. But she didn't. His eyes darkened. She buried you. The truth of those words cut deep. Because part of me knew. He wasn't wrong. Why are you here? I whispered. He studied my face carefully. Because you're in danger. I almost laughed. Danger? I was already dead. He reached into his coat slowly. My body tensed. But he only pulled out something small. A photograph. He handed it to me. My fingers trembled as I took it. It showed the rich woman. Standing. Smiling. Beside a man. Her husband. He looked familiar. Then I recognized him. My stomach dropped. It was the man who died. The man I fought. The man who fell. The man she said she saved me from. My voice shook. Her husband? The detective nodded. Yes. My blood turned cold. She told you he was a stranger, didn't she? My hands began to shake. Yes. He watched my reaction carefully. He wasn't. Silence. He was her husband. My mind fractured. Nothing made sense. She made you believe he was your enemy. My breathing became uneven. But he wasn't. The detective's voice hardened. He was trying to expose her. My heart stopped. What? He stepped closer. She's been killing them. Ice filled my veins. All of them. He pointed toward the window. The man who died last night. Another pause. She arranged it. My hands trembled violently. No. He leaned closer. She's not a victim. His voice dropped to a whisper. She's the monster. My world collapsed. Everything she told me. Everything she made me believe. All lies. Or worse. Half-truths. Why are you telling me this? I asked weakly. His answer came immediately. Because you're next. My heart stopped. What? He held my gaze. When she's finished with you. He paused. She'll erase you too. My stomach turned to ice. Because I already knew. She could. She erased Samir. She could erase Sarah. She could erase everything. He continued. You're not her weapon. He leaned closer. You're her evidence. My breath caught. She's framing you. The words hit harder than anything else. She'll make you kill Bilal Mirza. My hands trembled uncontrollably. And when he's dead. He finished the sentence quietly. You'll take the blame. Silence consumed the room. My entire existence had been a trap. I was never her partner. I was her scapegoat. Her sacrifice. Her perfect fall guy. Tears filled my eyes. I can help you, the detective said. His voice softer now. Come with me. Freedom. Escape. Truth. All within reach. But before I could answer, a slow clap echoed from the doorway. Both of us froze. The detective turned. She was there. Watching. Smiling. The rich woman. Her wheelchair moved slowly into the room. Her eyes locked onto the detective. Then onto me. Calm. Unafraid. Certain. I wondered when you'd figure it out, she said softly. The detective raised his gun again. This ends tonight. She laughed. Not loudly. But coldly. No, she said. It ends exactly how I planned. My heart pounded violently. She looked at me. Not Samir. Not Sarah. Something else. Something she owned. You don't belong to him, she said gently. You belong to me. My voice shook. Why? Her smile faded slightly. Then she said something that froze both of us. Because you killed my daughter. Silence exploded in my head. What? I whispered. Her eyes filled with hatred. You don't remember. My legs gave out. No. She leaned closer. But you will. The detective looked confused. What is she talking about? She never looked at him. Her eyes stayed on mine. You were there, she whispered. My mind began to fracture. Images. Fragments. That night. Rain. Alina's face. Fear. My hands shaking. Blood. My breathing became erratic. No. She smiled. Yes. And then she said the words that destroyed everything I thought I knew. You were the first. The room stopped breathing. So did I. You're lying, I whispered. My voice sounded hollow. Broken. Like it didn't belong to me anymore. The rich woman didn't blink. She didn't need to. Truth didn't blink. You were there, she said again. Her words crawled into my skull like poison. Fragments flickered behind my eyes. Rain hitting pavement. A streetlight flickering. A girl's voice. Soft. Afraid. No, I said weakly. But my body remembered before my mind did. My hands began to shake violently. The detective, Inspector Farouk Ahmed, stepped slightly closer to me. What is she talking about? He demanded. She didn't answer him. She only watched me. Waiting. Like she had waited for years. Tell him, she whispered. My breathing became shallow. I don't remember. She smiled faintly. You will. And suddenly. I did. The night everything began. 3 years ago. I wasn't Samir the victim. I was Samir the coward. I remembered the night clearly now. I had been drunk. Angry. Lost. I had followed her. Alina. She had been walking alone. Talking on her phone. Laughing. Alive. I didn't plan to hurt her. That's what cowards always tell themselves. I just wanted money. Just her purse. Just something. Something to survive one more day. I grabbed her arm. She screamed. I panicked. I pushed her. She fell. Her head hit the pavement. The sound. I still hear it. A sickening crack. She stopped moving. Blood pooled beneath her. I froze. I didn't help her. I didn't call anyone. I ran. I ran like the coward I was. And left her there to die. I collapsed to my knees. Tears poured down my face. I didn't know, I choked. I didn't know she died. The rich woman's face didn't change. That's what they all say. Her voice wasn't angry. It was empty. Worse than anger. It was grief that had rotted into something else. Something monstrous. The detective looked between us, shocked. You never told me this, he said to her. She didn't look at him. Because I needed him alive. Her eyes locked onto mine. I needed him to understand. My chest tightened painfully. You saved me, I whispered. She nodded. Yes. Silence. I erased your crime. Her voice trembled slightly for the first time. I protected you. Tears fell down her cheeks. I gave you life. Her face hardened again. So I could take it away. The truth about Sarah. The detective stepped forward. You turned him into her. He realized it now. All of it. The rich woman nodded slowly. Yes. She looked at the photo of Alina on the wall. He took my daughter. Her voice broke. So I took his identity. She looked back at me. You became her. My stomach twisted. You made me live as her. She nodded. You wore her clothes. Her voice sharpened. You spoke her name. Her eyes burned with tears and hatred. You became the girl you killed. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't revenge. This was resurrection. This was punishment worse than death. She rolled closer. You felt her fear. Her hand trembled. You felt her helplessness. She leaned inches from my face. And now. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You will feel her death. The gun. She reached into her lap. The detective raised his weapon instantly. Don't move. But she already had. She pulled out a gun. Small. Black. Final. She pointed it at me. Not him. Me. I didn't move. I didn't run. I didn't deserve to. I gave you 3 years, she said. Her finger tightened on the trigger. 3 years to live. Tears streamed down her face. 3 years she never had. Silence filled the room. The detective spoke carefully. Don't do this. She didn't look at him. This was always the ending. Her eyes stayed on mine. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I simply asked one question. Why turn me into her? Her answer came through tears. So you would understand. She paused. What it means to lose yourself. Her finger tightened. And become nothing. The shot. The gun fired. The sound shattered everything. But it wasn't her gun. It was his. The detective had fired first. She gasped. Her body jerked. The gun fell from her hand. She collapsed backward in her wheelchair. Blood spread across her chest. Her eyes widened. Not in fear. In surprise. The detective stood frozen. He hadn't wanted to. But he had. She looked at me. Not with hatred. Not anymore. Only sadness. Her lips moved weakly. I forgive you. And then. She stopped breathing. Aftermath. The police came. Questions. Lights. Noise. Chaos. They took her body away. They took her revenge away. They took everything away. The detective stood beside me quietly. You're free, he said. Free. The word felt meaningless. Samir was gone. Sarah wasn't real. I was neither. And both. I looked at my reflection one last time. Not as punishment. Not as disguise. But as truth. I had lived as her. I had suffered as her. I had died as her. And somehow. I had been reborn. Not as Samir. Not as Sarah. But as someone who finally understood the weight of a life. And the cost of destroying one. Final twist. 3 weeks later. I received a package. No return address. Inside was a letter. Her handwriting. Shaking. Weak. Final. It read. If you are reading this, it means I failed. But revenge was never the end. You are. My hands trembled as I read the final line. Now live the life she never could. Beneath it was one last item. An identity card. Name. Alina. My heart stopped. Not Sarah. Not Samir. Alina. She hadn't just punished me. She had erased me completely. And given her daughter my life. The end.